So this video will be my review of Marvel's Midnight Suns, which has come out within the past couple weeks. I will not go in depth with any spoilers or anything, so this will be considered, I guess, a non-spoiler review, but I will be talking about various aspects of the game and how I overall feel about it. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. So I feel like there's a lot of things that I could say about this game, but it's hard to truly gather everything that you want to say about how you truly feel about something without potentially forgetting something, so I will try my best to say everything about how I'm feeling. For starters, this game really surprised me, so I'm usually not one to play tactical strategy games super hard like that. My extent of playing these types of games really only extends to like Age of Empires 2 and like Civilization 5 or something like that. But even then, I didn't play those games for huge amounts of time, albeit they were pretty fun too. But this game's combat grew heavily on me, and I'll admit, at first it seemed sort of slow, and at times it seemed as if like I was really only playing it because it was a Marvel game. But once you get used to the combat and how to truly strategize and play this game, it becomes incredibly fun and incredibly satisfying. So the card format of gameplay might turn people off from it or make it seem like it's just a flat-out card game, but I assure you that this is not a card game in the slightest, and that cards are just the medium that's used to deal your attacks during your turn and stuff like that. So one of the things that also started making the game much more fun was getting better cards as you went along from the gamma coils after every mission, because you can get crazy good cards for your heroes that just allows you to incinerate everything very easily, and it makes it really satisfying. Outside of the combat, the exploration of the Abbey was a phenomenal addition to make the game feel fresh and not just one-sided with the tactical gameplay. Truthfully, while I'm making this video, I haven't even really explored the Abbey nearly as much as I should, because I wanted to make sure I got through the story as fast as possible for recording purposes. However, I have still spent a couple hours exploring the Abbey alone, and the fact that I'm not even close to done is saying something. So for an area that's not incredibly huge, like a fully open world game, they made the Abbey definitely big enough for you to keep discovering new things and to keep it continuously feeling fresh, which I thought was awesome. So while in the Abbey, the Persona-esque aspect of being able to interact with heroes and get friendship levels up and everything felt really refreshing to have in a Marvel game. I've played plenty of Marvel games in my time, and I can't really think of one where there was just like a space to hang around with other heroes and do nothing, but also having it mean something and translate into combat boosts through their friendship levels. I actually got enjoyment out of hanging out with other heroes to get better combat rewards, doing things that in other instances might have seemed tedious to some people. So, I mean, going even further with stuff that you can do in the Abbey, the upgrading system and the training systems, as well as the threat room and challenges, also added a great variety to things you can do outside of a normal mission with objectives you might have already seen before. Having these challenges set up in a way to show off more of your technical skill rather than your raw power, as their name suggests, makes it real challenging, but in the best possible way, and it doesn't make it like an artificial challenge, just like they made the enemies really strong or something like that. It felt a lot more skillful than anything else. As far as the story goes, I will say it was fairly decent. I don't have any qualms with how they handled the story per se, although I will say there felt like there was a lot of potential filler missions, but I guess that's kind of how game stories just go, where there can't really always be a super big juicy story mission that happens consistently. Sometimes there has to be missions that just advance, you know, the smaller plot points and stuff like that. Especially when they, especially so when they made you wait like a day to complete you had to complete a side mission, so before you could take on a story mission, and then once you took on that story mission that you waited to take on, it wasn't always super incredibly exciting, so, you know, it kind of made it feel like it was dragging a little bit. Not all the time, only sometimes. Not all of them were like that, and the story missions that were exciting were really, really exciting. Not to mention that without spoiling anything, the post-credit scene at the end of the game threw me for a loop and was completely unexpected, which makes me curious as to how they're going to approach the story that stems from that scene, whether it will be in the already announced DLC or if it will be in potentially a sequel in like Midnight Suns 2. I'm unsure if the Season Pass, which they already announced, which they confirmed is going to add Storm, Venom, Morbius, and Deadpool. I'm unsure if it will include any actual new story beats or not to play off the post-credit scene, or if it will just be the characters with some new side missions. But outside of the main story, the amount of lore that is living in this game is crazy. The world feels incredibly lived in, with so many references to things that have nothing to do with the main story at all, as well as even having a cameo or two that leaves you surprised. So the amount of love and detail put into this game, I feel, cannot be understated, and I would have to play through this game multiple times in order to grasp even a little bit of all the lore that's there, which thankfully is possible because there's a new game plus once you beat the game. Overall, the only real downside I can think of for me personally with this game is the graphics. There are moments where the game looks good, but there are also other moments where I feel the graphics could come from an early era PS4 game. It's not something that I feel like could make or break how much I enjoy this game at all, but I do think that maybe all these PS5 games coming out, like Ghost of Tsushima or Final Fantasy VII Remake, looking as good as they do might have spoiled my eyes a little bit in that department. But overall, I would easily give this game a 9 out of 10, where it only gets knocked down for its graphics and potentially the story just being not as good as I feel it could be, albeit the story wasn't bad, like I said, by any means. This game really did surprise me with how good it was, and even if you aren't into tactical or strategy type games, I highly, highly recommend you give this a try, especially so if you're a fan of Marvel. So if you've played Marvel's Midnight Suns, comment down below how you felt about it, and if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content, and I appreciate you for watching the video.